I don't even know how to start this without shaking all over again, but I need to get it out of my system. The people I thought were supposed to love and protect me, my family, my own parents and sister, made me feel small for years because of who I married. And then, when life flipped on them, they had no problem coming to the very same man they looked down on like he was beneath them, asking him to save them with money. I can't make this up, and I don't know if I'll ever look at them the same way again. I met my husband in college. He wasn't flashy or loud, and honestly, he kept himself most of the time. He was majoring in agriculture, which even back then made my mom raise her eyebrows. My dad had always pictured me with some professional man in a suit and tie, someone with a corner office who'd fit into their circle of friends who all played golf and bragged about their investments. My mom would drop comments about doctors and lawyers like it was the only pool of men worth dipping into. But I didn't care. My husband was kind, gentle, funny in this quiet, unexpected way, and when he looked at me, I felt safe. That was worth more than 100 guys with cufflinks. We started dating seriously, and I'll never forget the first time I brought him home for Thanksgiving. He wore his best shirt, he was nervous but polite, and he even brought my mom flowers. My sister, who has always had this better-than-everyone vibe, leaned across the table later that night when he went outside to take a call and whispered, "Really? He's just a farmer. That's who you're bringing home." The words cut me even then, but I brushed it off. I told myself she didn't understand him, didn't see what I saw. My parents weren't as blunt, but the condescension was there in every little comment. My dad asked him if he planned on getting a real job after graduation. My mom asked if his parents ever wanted him to do something bigger. They laughed when he mentioned dreams of running his own farm someday. I sat there burning with embarrassment and anger, but he never flinched. He just smiled politely and said farming was real work and that feeding people mattered. Fast forward a few years. We got married. My sister didn't even try to hide her lack of enthusiasm. She made a toast at the wedding that people laughed at, but I heard the bite underneath. To my sister, who always followed her heart, even if it led her to the middle of nowhere. My parents clapped and smiled, and I forced myself to smile too, but inside I was boiling. My husband heard it too. I could tell by the way his jaw tightened, but he never said a word. That's who he is. We started small, renting land and building slowly. It was not glamorous. We had mornings that started before the sun came up and nights that ended with us collapsing into bed covered in dirt. There were months where we barely scraped by. But my husband worked harder than anyone I've ever seen, and we kept going. Eventually, little by little, it turned into something real. He bought land, invested in equipment, expanded, diversified. People in our community knew him. They trusted him. Our farm grew, and with it, our financial stability. Meanwhile, my sister married a guy who worked in finance. He was exactly the kind of person my parents adored. He drove a sleek car, wore expensive suits, and talked about things I didn't even understand. They bragged about him every chance they got, even though I'd heard from mutual friends that he wasn't exactly faithful. I never said anything because what good would it do? My parents saw him as golden, while my husband was still just a farmer. The years passed. My parents' attitude never softened. Every Christmas, my dad would make little digs, like asking my husband if he still played in the dirt. My sister would smirk when we talked about harvests or new machinery. They'd nod politely, then switch the conversation to her husband's bonus or the trip they were planning with his company. I got used to swallowing my anger, even though it ate at me every time. And then last year, everything came crashing down. My sister's husband made some very bad investments. I don't understand all the details, but apparently he tried to play big with other people's money, and it backfired. Hard. He lost his job, their house was in jeopardy, and suddenly the family that had always looked down on us was in absolute chaos. My parents, who had always prided themselves on their image, were horrified at the idea that their daughter might lose her status. That's when the begging started. It was a Sunday afternoon when they came to our house. They'd never driven out to the farm before without being invited. My mom looked pale and tired, my dad had this stiff fake smile, and my sister, well, she couldn't even look me in the eye at first. After a few pleasantries, they got to the point. They needed help. Financial help. Specifically, $30,000. I swear my heart stopped. $30,000. From the people who laughed at us, belittled us, and treated us like we were second class. From the same sister who once sneered and called my husband just a farmer. Now, suddenly, just a farmer was good enough to bail them out. I sat there in stunned silence while my mom actually reached across the table and grabbed my hand. "You two are doing so well," she said, her voice shaking. "We know you can afford it. We wouldn't ask if we weren't desperate." My dad cleared his throat and added something about families sticking together in tough times. My sister finally spoke, barely above a whisper. "Please. We'll pay you back." That was the climax for me. Every memory of every insult, every smug look, every dismissive laugh came flooding back all at once. I looked at my husband, waiting for his reaction. And do you know what he did? He stayed calm. He didn't gloat. He didn't throw their words back at them. He simply said, "We'll need to talk about this privately." When they left, I broke down. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. I kept saying, "How dare they? How dare they come here after everything they said?" My husband held me and let me fall apart. When I asked him what he wanted to do, he surprised me. He said, "We'll help them. Not with all of it, but with something. Because we're not like them. And I don't want you to feel guilty later." So we did. We gave them $10,000 with no strings attached. Not the $30,000 they demanded, but enough to give them a cushion. My sister cried. My mom hugged me like she hadn't in years. My dad muttered something that almost sounded like gratitude. Here's the kicker. Months later, they still treat my husband like he's beneath them. The money didn't buy respect. They accepted it, but in subtle ways they still act like his work is less valuable than theirs. My sister's marriage is crumbling, my parents are still trying to prop up their image, and my husband is still out there before dawn, working his ass off to keep our farm thriving. And me? I'm done chasing their approval. I don't care if they never see my husband for the incredible man he is. I see him. Our kids see him. Our community sees him. He is more than just a farmer. He is the backbone of our life, the reason we have everything we do, and the most honorable man I know. Sometimes I lie awake at night thinking about that moment at our wedding, my sister with her glass raised, mocking him in front of everyone. And then I think about her sitting in my kitchen years later, begging for money, and I wonder if she ever realized the irony. Probably not. But I'll never forget it. And I'll never let anyone make